Try again.
Keep thinking that I could have done something, but now I'm left with an empty heart. No making amends, no waking up beside you and holding you till we forget it all. How could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. You couldn't keep the door shut, and now the frostbite's creeping in. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here. So come home, why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. Got me stone cold. No Wizard of Oz can undo what I've done. Completely out of luck this time. I'm stuck in reverse. I gotta get away now, but I can't seem to take the lead. Oh baby, how could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. Still, I find myself hoping that you'll find your way back to me. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here. So come home, why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold. You got me stone cold.
Thanks, Dan. Feel good. You never know how it's going to go till the race starts, though. Messed up any worse than I did the other day. Yeah, I agree. I've been through it all today. I got the markers in my head now. I know the distance markers for each banner, and I know what they look like. That's a big plus. I think if you go to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel as well, there's a live broadcast with commentary on it. I've got that on here, so I listen to the commentators as we go. I think if I can hook it up to the live stream. I think that's fine now. Yeah, on Zwift you do. This doesn't have a start line. That's what caught me out the other day. And they don't have a countdown to the end of the banner as well, so you don't know where they are. I think the sprint the other day, I was getting ready to start the sprint as we went over the finish line. Because normally on this, when I race on the Sunday, they have it's like a countdown. It tells you how many meters are left to the end. But it didn't have on the other day.
Their second chance at qualifying.
I don't even know what riders are in this Cahill.
Of what is proving to
I don't know how to find out.
this competition. To say, I'm impressed by one of our riders so far, but I suspect that we're going to have lots more thrills and spurs to come. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be putting words to the action once again with Emma Martin, who's here in the studio with me. Emma, the women's race was great and really loved that. The men's race,
we did that. You made me do my homework the other day. But the biggest problem I got now is I don't know who I'm racing. I don't know how many of these world-class guys are in the field or not. I don't know how to tell who's on the starting line. I know who was in the pet, like on the list, but I don't know who's turned up. Until the race starts, you won't get a list on the side.
Chinese rider put in a big attack and go clear at a number of checkpoints, and then we saw the Polish duo of Skierski and Kaminski close that gap down and go over the top.
Can you hear the broadcast as well?
The finish line, and Skierski took 192 points out of a maximum of 200. It was a dominant ride. He was 24 points clear of Wahoo came through in second in that points competition. Now, 9 nations.
That was by accident.
Took top 10 places in qualifier 1. Do you think we can see 10 nations do it today?
I would hope so. I love the fact that because people are riding wherever they are around the globe, we have such a wide spread of riders. There are different time zones that people are coming in from, and it's accessible to everybody. And for me, that is one of the great things about cycling esports as a discipline. Not only do you have riders who maybe aren't going to excel in a different discipline, but also you get riders coming across. Everybody can access this wherever you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in the heartland of pro cycling in Europe or whether you are a great BMX rider.
Thanks, James.
Live out your dreams on the USA BMX cross circuit, or whether you're a rider who is riding mountain bike marathons around the Alps. Wherever you are in the globe, you can jump on board and get pretty much whatever the temperature. We've seen a lot of riders riding in nice vests, keeping cool, who are warmer climates, lots of people with aircon. But equally, we know that there are people at the moment for whom this is winter. You know, if you're in the southern hemisphere at the moment, it's pretty cold, it's pretty wet, and it's pretty tough stuff out there.
Well, what I can say is that
well, is that now? Yeah.
Riders joined us in qualifier 1. 27 of those riders scored points. And I think that's really interesting, and it doesn't matter where you are in the race field. It is a points race, and that is what counts. And we see different tactics play out. Now, I'm not going to speak for anybody who might be on that start line, but there may well be people on that start line who are thinking 2 checkpoints within the first 10.2 kilometres, or they've got a 10.2 kilometre race, and
I'm not going to back up then.
So there are going to be a lot of riders on that start line with different tactics, different plans, and it's going to be interesting to see how they execute.
Yeah, and riders coming back for a second bite of the cherry. So some riders who have raced in qualifier 1 coming back to try and improve on that in qualifier race number 2. Riders who are quite far up the standings, maybe just thinking, well, I want to make sure I'm far enough up. Because a number of course nations are looking at this as a way to qualify. Let's see who can hit the point.
Well, it's an interesting tactic, isn't it? Racing qualifier 2, so close to having raced qualifier 1. It's just 48 hours ago, and it was a hard race. The ability to recover and not get into the latter stages of this race today, and to stand on those pedals and for the power just not to be quite where you want it to be, it is really telling. So good luck to anybody who is doubling up.
Well, we're going to have to see just who has got the pace and the recovery to get back there. I'm not sure everybody will have had the same recovery ice cream that we managed to have between the women's race and the men's race. It's a specialty here. It's almost medicinal, I think. But it is time for us to take a look at today's course in detail. And our riders are going to be with us here today. It's another big packed entry as well. I'm really interested to see some of these nations packing riders out into these entries of us. So here at the UCI Cycling Esports World Championships for 2025, it is the Open Button qualifying up to. It is the men's qualifier here out by MyWhoosh. Everybody aiming to be in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates for that final in the middle of November. They need to get across from where we are at the moment in our qualifiers right the way in and through the semis and then into the finals as well. Now, Emma, riders for me that are down on this start list that really excel, I'm going to jump right in and steal the big hot favourite here. Michael Vick, a rider who went into World Tour road riding from his performances. He's a just class on wheels, and he's here on the start line.
He is indeed, but Tugels is here. We know he's going really well at the moment, so that's going to be interesting. Ika Morel, he's here, the Spanish rider. Khan and Bert Ken, the two riders from Turkey, are in the mix. Well, both great sprinters. You know, they had a great race at qualifier 1, finishing 14th and 15th, but they'll want to go better today.
It is about going better, isn't it? It is that second bite, Cherry was saying earlier. You do get that chance, but we've got qualifiers 3 and 4. Would you have waited and seen how this played out and then gone for 3 and 4?
Only because I know my powers of recovery aren't that good, but let's not forget, these are world-class riders here today heading to Alula, and they will know how quickly they recover.
And today's checkpoints, the 5 key checkpoints on your screens at the moment, scattered across the course, 6.1k for the first one at the end of the Alpha Hills, 10.2 a little bit further on to go through all the way into the big man. That big climb ever has been very decisive in every race so far.
To be 6.1, it's really 7 mini climbs. It is 7 rolls. We've got the checkpoint being at the top of the 5 and 7th. Then they go through the Canyon Oasis sprint. So I think, you know, the Alpha Hills first selection point, through the Canyon Oasis sprint, into the Vessel Rock climb, which is the 3rd checkpoint at 18.4 kilometres. It's a 4.5 kilometre climb, and as you can see, it is a stepped climb with some paces for recovery. I'm going to put my teeth in for the rest of the show, but you can clearly see that, and that is quite telling, because at the early stages they are just short, sharp risers. The latter stages of the Vessel Rock climb is where we've seen the attacks come previously. Not saying the attacks are going to come today, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And then very quickly, that 4th checkpoint at 21.5 kilometres, 2.9k from the checkpoint at the climb, before climbing out and onto the descent.
And on the start list today and on the start line, we have Khan and Bert Ken, the 2 Turkish riders, looking very, very strong. They both can climb, and they can both really ride well over the top and into that finish, where we showed them really picking up with that sprint they've got.
Yes, indeed, and it's a very technical point, that face rock sprint, because for me that's potentially where we see the attack for the finish going, and do keep an eye on that.
Don't mention me in a bit.
It's that 4th checkpoint, but it could well be the long run for hope.
Let's see if anybody's going to go that lonely road on their own, or will they be travelling that in a bag at the moment. I'll ride us down on the start line, warming up, ready for the race start here. Now today's race, 32.4 kilometres to travel. They have 377 metres of climbing. Between now and that finish line, they will have to pick up as many points as they can, with a maximum points of 200 points. Every rider who's racing in their day cave, in their gym, wherever they are in the world, represented by their avatar. I'm going to take the race start with Michael Baker's ready to set up on qualifying up to the men's qualification. Once again, it's the road to the UCI Cycling Esports World Championships for 2025, and a big kick from the start already.
Yeah, there is indeed, and you know, Jamie Cahill pushing on the front there. Rico, Golden Boy, the rider and coach on MyWhoosh. You have a great following on social media, the Swedish rider in the mix as well. Ramirez is there too. Zach Gare, one of the riders from the USA, and was indeed in that final of 2020, October 2020. I know, of course.
Yes.
This year.
It's just been like a little bit later, just a little bit more space for riders to build into that as well. Of course, because it is a world championship final of the UCI's number of disciplines, that's from mountain biking downhill right the way across cycling to track cycling to cycle football. It really does mean that these riders find themselves a little bit at the mercy of the UCI in terms of they have to schedule so many world championships in a year. And Michael think out of the so quickly sits back down again. Will we see him representing New Zealand with that sort of bird on his back in those world championships? Question, I would love to see him there. I've already pre-thought, so I can't quite believe that he has not been world champion there already.
Well, big on our screens of that pack. But it is a rolling pack of all of the riders who come out of that start page today in that leading group at the moment. Chris is there, Penrich is there, Manchego, Christoph Steen, Adam Stegman, Morel is in the mix as well, Christoph Stubus is there, Kelman Shandong is there too, Diego Vargas right at the front. So Michael Rick is watching the action on the front of that group at the moment. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what his intention is today, but everybody could well be watching him.
They could indeed, if you are an experienced watcher of the public orders, because this is our fourth actual race, although it's the second event qualifier, so don't push yourself in 4 seconds whilst we just quickly get through what's on the big screens. And on the left hand side is the bar of the course, change to the 500-meter countdown bar as they scroll through those into the checkpoints. Top centre is the race time. Top right hand side is the map. Each rider represented by a distance in braking. And behind us, each riders that spread their way out around the course of each jumping the ball. Broken and flat to the race build for B. Gradient is there in percentage, but there's an increase in that climb gradient as the bottom of the uphill hills, sticking up at just over 5.5%. We dropping back down the other side. Eric Frimpel, the rider on the front, he has a bit more. That means he's a leading rider. He's also with a white background. That means he's getting no draft at all. The rider's number is back. That's a green background. That means they're in the groups. Each of those riders' stats are shown, including the time if there are any time gaps. That's on the right hand side. Left hand side, bottom left hand corner, that's Eric Rimbaud's stats. And Eric, one of our real counts. Those counts are really important, I think, cycling esports, but we're launching out to the bottom. So, every element, there is a real person behind them. And that story. And a great story. And from all around the world, and Eric Rimbaud, a very inspirational right, but he's got his work to happen. He's already on the break. 9.5 walk to point present. We're looking at finance about that. He played with him as well, but Shana doing the same for a various there. And the Finland Santa, Cahill looking strong as well.
This is one of these things. Welcome to the party. Get ready to rumble.
And in what is the yellow jersey. It's a journey that you regularly win each and every Sunday. I mean, it's such a great event. So it's one of the points that you know going to be up there at the moment. It's supposed to be real to flange you. The whole primes are very clear. Shana goes over the top, Cahill over a thing. He answers them, and the mob comes over the top. Riders don't you miss the center glass.
Yeah, but what's happening with the group at the moment is push coming on the climb. The draft and slice of the group are enabling the catch and the pull back in on the descent. So at the moment, instead of them through, and you think like thinking back into group, drop in from outside and in the bunch, you can see them up and out and up and down as well. And Shadow, you know, the rider of your brain at the moment, you can see the push, you can see them. That group that then try to them on the outside. Cahill is keeping close attention front of that back.
And in the end, they did complete brains as they went over the top of that little riser. They're pulling down about 33 riders, but as they go down into the dip, we've seen another Cahill almost back in into the other was probably snapping up over the really is making more behind. This gives them the able to attend the same squeezing screw the notice. But this is keep rest, keep the rest, keep the rest, keep resting. You can see them being taken down by the shot up on the hallway going in my powers or well. The focus, the thing really working well for him at the moment. He's in the down the big level lately of the front as well. This is all starting the film. These are still the hill, but make the outside it's in the sense not so the trust this thing goes 10 watt per kilo coming down on the side of the first everything over the top does seem to be it's clean and get it things in the day if the but something's got it
going to have a pocket on this defensive to stay clear. There are 33 units in that group, so we think up from them now 32. The rider to the chasing. Tell you something, take off the back of the speed well. Seconds to make it just there's 2 more blocks to go. What are they going to do? The final beating can stay there and about 40 points. Just think, she will be in this race stuff for it. But, well, he can hold it.
We are way into that checkpoint outside of his screen. He also to a 500 meter countdown as we go in. Just timing in with Walter Laces and Elvis that he jumped in this with these in this group at the moment. Plays looking very, very strong indeed. He's at 17, closing ball player number 1. 8 points into his negative. Looking at the manner is sign of the in the perfect margin way. It is also not bad. Riders are looking for half full station and as we go, need to try to fit that club. I won't keep it low. Down,
I got nothing.
Well, this rider's in that ready through that checkpoint. Right, look at that. That's the top 20 points on checkpoint. I think number 40. Jeffrey Malone back there, that longer charge, sprint power, picking up those top corner. Alvaro picking up strong points. So does Christoph. The last play that we saw on our screen coming through for 8. Matthew is coming through for 9. Tyson Van coming through for 10. You can see the pace still on in low.
And he really has. He separated a small group off the bike. Now see them in the distance as Bingo. She's on at the front. He's least some more riders. So it looks like Kinberg out now. And he can't Cahill. And the ratio. That's been a distance. Become a child on the floor and split off the gap as well. They need to come back with them. And early work is here.
Checkpoint 2, just 3.9 kilometres down the road on checkpoint 1. It's not the shortest distance between checkpoint, but where they are so close, the opportunity for a break will really is part of the tactical plan for some of the riders. You can see it's part of the Michael's tactic here. That dare going in and real strategists of that there. But a little bit further back in the pack.
The monkey to looking to get into the wheels. He's to bridge across. He's going to go on. He does take your lane, go evil side. He's looking to pick up points by the away Joe there, Tanasugi, the runners who are in the front 3 seconds behind Tanasugi, the Walker, Sunday Big, and that chasing through behind it has really been there and a very good thing has gone. I think there is very aware he's not going to pull his back. Tanasugi wants to make this, he's continuing to push here. Look, can he make it stay? I think the group has come back onto his heels. Big though starting to accelerate again.
Well, this is the danger here. With chasing things down the road, are you expending too much energy? If you're going down the road, what people score, what the second person score is only 2 points. Now that is really important. Well, I say that as we've seen Leonard Tuchel push on our YouTube was on the start line and he's one to watch. He's been on absolutely recently. And we've seen him really come to the fore in tight races really well. Well, Tuchel's now deciding he's the guy to go with Michael Vick, and he probably is, but the fact now, even set to let the two riders go down the road.
Well, it's great to see the support with John running the room, the cheerleading seems super even. You know, something funky, spread on the road. I think they're going to have a lot to cheer about when it comes to the end. Always great to see the support riders get. The big advantage is you keep focused, always tricky, when you are racing. But let your brain starting to shield and get everything wrong. But the support team to the racing, I'm happy that those bridge across the going towards that checkpoint.
That's being placed proper, I think. I just saw the USA rider pushing and darling it, really wanting to stretch him coming towards his next checkpoint, but then not there yet.
So Big Lady choosing second place, third place. Then it's followed. Thinking Aaron Kozo coming behind them, looking at the final separation across the Jefferson 3 seconds in front of them. 4 seconds in front of him, and the moment he goes up, very away what's going on. So it's Berlin at the moment. Lanes, I think, there already and waiting. The next checkpoint comes at 10.2 kilometers.
Well, look, GM trust your sprint way to the final 500 meters here now. This Caddy Oasis sprint with the 10.2 kilometers. Big in one, Jim. Rock 3, the gap back from Rocket Alvarado, who's on the front of the pack, is 7 seconds. That should be in the and from this check-up in third place, guys, they should. I think it will, but Alvarado was comfortable. She's on the sprint now from behind a face with to pick up points.
Alvarado and Becca Jason Big is the big nice one, boys. He'll take away from 1 point. Jules comes up to the line, he'll take 13. Down on God's hold his to Alvarado to the but he gets so at the front of the initial basis 3 point. Big taking 1 shoot. I'll take you 2. Rocker taking 3 behind Alvarado. Has been pushed out, but 2 Valakis, 6th place. Sanchez has the logo over the top.
Well, they did indeed. Cracking through the game. Well, actually, jumping in, jumping to the top. That's right. He needs to play with Josh Power. Running out the top 10 at that choice. His first player to have done so across the second time he was by racing the 4th. It will be interesting to see if he can.
It will be, and of course, it's many looks great about 4 or 5 it's leading group of 15, 16 runners. Adrian Alvarado right in that makes it fantastic rider by him there. Before he went there, the way before we go into the final bounce about the government seems really looking to get that far right down.
Yeah. Well, so really great to see that breadth and depth of nation here.
So the riders of the South American continent joining riders around the globe here on the MyWhoosh racing here, the UCI race, well and truly underway. The public race at the moment. So, just I'm going to be in a little pause. It is all about him in club and recover well. The riders in this group need to be thinking, I think, about what do you do, how hard do you go, where do you push, where do you get the recovery. 21 riders in our leading group at the moment. Just waiting to see what riders clear out in front, and that gap behind them is 28 seconds now to Group 2 on the road. Group 2 on the road, about 4 or 5 riders, and it's similar groups behind, just taking a little bit of a look a bit further back. Basically, looking in the rearview mirror, there's a big gap, and they're continuing to stretch down.
Then a Chigos is currently in 7th on the road, and a further 2 seconds on the road to Michael B.
So, Vic at the moment on the front, shoots in second place. Morel, Blaze, Berlin, and Cody chase group there on the left hand side of the screen. More work as Eric and Rumborg is chasing the group of 4 riders at the moment. You can just see Golden Boy himself, he's got his trademark shades on. I think a few more today, you can see that fan flying at the moment, and just holding on to the south group of 31st position as he sits on the course at the moment. He's in some very good company.
That's a hard start.
A relatively new racer.
He is it to MyWhoosh. He is a rider from Toronto in Canada.
It's a very nice place to ride. I've never ride on cycling Esports. Great to see that he's up in the battle here with Eric. So going riding really strongly as well. So here we go. Up towards the front of the race, towards Leonard Chugles, who at the moment is looks like he's on a mission to throw something into the back pocket of Michael B, going faster than the rider Glendenning, who's spent most of his time as a cycle carrier.
It does indeed.
Glendenning would wish he was picking the Buckingham ready to put into the back pocket of an envelope at the moment. Michael B being caught by Chugles. Chugles have been together. Chugles have been improving. Just thinking back to Chugles over the past year of riding and racing, his performances have improved and improved and improved.
Yeah, they're so competitive now. You know, those of you who watch the MyWhoosh platform regularly on a Saturday, they give a bit of a Vink and Osborne battle regularly, but then
That view's awful.
getting stronger, really starting to mix it up. These guys get down too big. Now, this type of climb is interesting because they are now onto the climb that will take them to checkpoint 3 in 4.5 kilometre climb, started at 13.9k, finishing at the checkpoint at 18.4. It's 6 smaller climbs. And with this type of climbing, I think Chugles stands a very good chance still being on the wheel and being at the top.
Because Michael Bink is known as a climber who can sit, time fell, hold the pace. And whilst he has got a kick, holding that kick, this is a different type of power. It's a real sort of bottom thing.
Watching the other day, we saw a Michael B. Jason Osborne sprint. Jason Osborne being the world champion. World champion's top end power higher than Vic's. At least that's what we saw that day. Michael B. has so much more than power, but hold it for longer. How beat world champion in the last race where they were.
I thought it was the other one.
Nice. So it's funny. Now racing regularly, a regular winner. Of course, it's done our punchy with rest, with breaks in the climbing. Sympathised that in the public as looking to want my mobile to move in to the world championships into those semi-finals. I'm still in that chasing group. And I think that the group have looked at each other and gone, do you know what? 2 riders on the road, that's more quite something different. So, let's see what we can do behind, and we don't expect anything chasing people. You're not starting to bring bars.
As a point, in the points at checkpoint 2, but even place in a smaller group list towards checkpoint 3 afterwards.
I think he's on a great ride, and I don't think he's going to lose too many positions. I think 18 riders in that leading group. 16 riders in the chasing group, 2 riders in front, 18 riders in total. At the moment, Vandy working well at front of that group, but with Christian Lemos leaders at the moment in the darkest into the electronic underneath it. Behind of is nice Vandy in the wheels. You see Vandy's the fourth place going there, Korea, and across the goes into the quick, but behind their starters come across. And this probably I think is going to be the match we're going to see. They are pushing little gaps, but you don't let anything close down. Now, Jeffrey Miller, one of our very young riders from France, by very, very high votes at the moment, but a number of really major incidents across France and Spain at the moment with the people who are in those regions. But Jeffrey Miller looking very, very warm at the moment. He's in the group and he has got a phenomenal sprint.
Indeed, and he's used it to his advantage today already. As we saw at those earlier checkpoints, he did the same at the top of the climb. We are about to find out he's about to hit the section on that climb as part and parcel of that group, and if he gets his timing to perfection as he has done earlier, there's no doubt to win. Pick up those points.
So at the moment, Michael Vick and Leonard Jugels have a 37-second gap to Crystal Levers. He's yo-yoing a little bit out to 47 seconds, down to 37, depending on the terrain. Remember that these time checks are speed and distance calculations, so the relative speed is really important when the roads are climbing. At 20 kilometers an hour, it's 60k an hour. That is going to make a massive difference for that time gap show. So expect to see it fluctuate, drag inches up at a number somewhere. Going to be roughly about right as to what those time gaps are at the moment until the roads are on the same terrain.
Well, there's some start riding going on to try and stand for it. He just put in the next big thing, but he's taken a huge draft, a huge goal for their second draft here with the rider that is on the front. And it is really interesting to see that Loomis, the rider, comes back onto the front line. And he has come through, done his job, got back into the green. They're coming to a flatter section now. There's a flat section, a small dip, and then they go to the line and climb. That is in the right place. He's in the green. His number needs to be, take a look, 1, 3, 4, 5. Just 2 riders in the draft. Cheadle making the most of that opportunity, but well, talking about an opportunity being the Cheadle far up the road, the gap is 41 seconds, and Lewis ranking the gap is coming down slightly.
And a little bit of that, I think, is into the top of the climb, and actually just going there. It's a bit coming up. We've got it is a full summit here. You can see this little bit of a dip down towards this left-hand turn. We're in this zone there at the moment. I think there's this certain part of the bus very well indeed. Round to the left, then round to the right, and then you see right before we descend. Yes, it's momentum. The thing is momentum until you run onto where our 2 leaders are now. Really key.
Well, it's the run for a checkpoint at the moment to bring this unleashed to the powder. And there's still a little way to go. So Pink and Cheadles are neck and neck, they're tire to tire, they're wheel to wheel. So waiting. Into the checkpoint around 600 meters up the road. Can Big beat Cheadles? Can Cheadles beat Big to the checkpoint? They are locked in a real battle now.
Saw the top left-hand side of the screen, that bar moving across very quickly on those flat sprints. Showing you the speed. It's there now. On the left-hand side, it's going to move a little bit slower this time, but it does come up on the riders very quickly. This checkpoint, it is a left-hand turn across the bridge over the water. At an 8,000 time for the hand turn, slight left. It is a tricky one to get right, but you can see the archway off to the right. The right will actually see that as they come into this bridgeway. They'll know what distance they've got to do. Michael big at the moment, out on the saddle, just rolling that in and around. You can just see holding those revs down. Is the power coming down big at the moment, just holding the pressure on there, keeping the gate under Cahill, holding it to the power beat up to 8 plus per kilo, starting to wind down. He's starting to rev this up, 8.1. He's got the front, he's holding Jules behind him, 8.9. He's doing enough to get there. He's going to take the points. He goes ahead, 2 more points ahead of Jules. Another top score for Bigfoot. Big and Jules go over the top, doing just enough for Big to take the points. Not over the gap, no one necessarily burning of energy there.
Well, no one necessarily burning of energy there. With 2 minutes clear for and he are 5 seconds clear of the chase group at the moment. They're at 18.7 kilometres. They've still got a little way to do this, and there is an interesting move going on.
It is indeed going to be interesting to see what happens here, because between the 7th and 12th place overall, they're separated by, I reckon, by only 10 points or so. So the positions really key in the overall standings as they go in Fanny and Clevis return below. And he's going to take the 5th place in through the line of that shed, waiting for that new track. Oh, so big tubers, Fanny Clevis. They went through with them below there. Okay, Christoph Neber, Sanchez Morales, and Power of Bellingham, Santo, and Goodall, Alvarado, Vernon, and through the riders who are 18 riders total through. We have 2 in the front, 2 chasers, and then the 14 riders for those 2 chasers. I think, yeah, going to walk back to the bottom of that. That's something that once again.
This is the clear of standards. Look at it. From 120 points. Jeffrey was the in second. Can't get in 6, then shoots tied on 10. And that nearly tied with their 8. Look at behind 2.
Very, very fine indeed. Very interesting to see those my side. Yeah, I think a little bit of a shake back on double chips on it for that on the set, which is fine now having to make his way up. He's accelerating up onto multiple second checkpoints and 2 and checkpoint 3. He's not close to the point that the only signal still take himself up into a 2nd place now. He's got a very much run here to our next sprint. It's not so next year comes to 21 another 3. It's just under a kilometre to go. He's going to lose his top score at 8, and he needs to the riders behind him. Now, very interesting. As it came up, it was 14 riders chasing 2. 16 riders came close together, but then instantly split. We actually now have 10 riders in the group all on 9. And Mega Fluky now bring on bigger and maximising the points here. As the caution's on, this is great riding by Tank Singing. He's going to look to try and grab as many points. I think by going long to this same checkpoint that we've just seen our leaders go in through and take a second here into the front.
Yes, Tommy. I'm going. I got stitch.
Check.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah.
going to be enough to come in and through. It's going to be close on the line. Here we go. The white rider is batting, and it looks like he is going to get swamped. They come to the line. Miller goes over the topic swamps. Here he takes that the first position as they go in and through. So at the base from sprint checkpoint, the checkpoint after that big climb. Big Shugels 1 and 2. Then Malone by Fanny, and then Sanchez Morel can't get it second next. Leave us very stopping. Lucky Takasugi going into a David Goodall. The first 12 riders left the rest of that race. They got behind Santa Barbara, Alvarado, Brute, and Burley. The remnants of that big chase group still working hard behind and picking up points. Top 18 riders there through that checkpoint on the top of the plateau. All finding to go.
Well, there is, and it's really interesting what it's all doing to the overall standing. Michael Vick still with a perfect point score at the moment. Jeffrey Miller now second place, and that's about the consistency of his points racing. Chills now up into third of 124, and then it gets close again.
It certainly does, and I think one of the really interesting things that we're going to see here is this yo-yoing as Judels works his way up through, making up those extra points on the way through. Oh my God, remember that Judels is only taking potentially 2 more points down below. 2 more points than either Bunny or Cahill, whoever is in that chasing group. This is going to be really, really interesting to go in, because Cahill will make his way unblocked on right, so I don't think she's got a checkpoint left in place. The little straight that's taking right on there, and Chill's now been distant. My big thing is continuing to wash it. He's got the motivation. He wants that perfect full score. He wants to take the win. This is another training session. It's another day on the bike for Michael. It's looking like a win.
Looks like the World Championships. This is how strong I am. This is what you've got to be if you want to win.
Very much so. Very much so. The gap is so big now between Tunes and this chasing group behind them. 46 seconds, the difference between the second place rider and this chasing group. The Japanese below. Really a brilliant stage. However, look, there's not something by himself second place. And not going to take big, but I'll tell you something. If you were looking at a rider who's really come out and lays a huge smile on his face, but good reason, chef love to Jeffrey Malone. Great job done so far. But I think he's still on behind. He must have missed something that makes him win. I should have decently come on. I'm honest. Should have.
Yeah, I'm just taking part.
So June's going to stay in our Fanny. Fanny has got more points on this. That's for rather good side on 114 points. So lost each other. So they're actually grouped together. I'll race it again, Michael. They looking like not easy got this sewed up, but this gallop's just not going from the version. Well, I think you have to
Having 1.5, wasn't it? Oh, that's really tough. It's close to that. What's that? 14 seconds. It's got the top of the shot here. Play 38 points of fish. You
Get hurt now. Yeah. Yeah.
They are open and available to you to try and find all these little finals on the channel.
You see, we will be racing against Matthias Magene on the right hand side of the screen. That is the second group on the road on the basis that if you count the attitudes of the one, then this is the bigger group chase. It's the second group. Mitchell Machado is not now interesting. On this group here. You can see a group at the moment with Jonathan and Nicholas Becker group from the States of Denmark. They are the riders that you have them for company. You also find them for Cahill of Turkey. And interestingly, these are the riders in 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21st place. So one of these four riders doesn't score points when they hit the checkpoint at the moment, so it needs to be on the attack. Joe Machado, the early attacker, the early antagonist at the moment, out on the saddle once again on this sharp right before they go into the descent. And whilst he might not be clear, whilst he might want this to stay together, he is looking to make this third. Well, somehow into the legs of the round. Ideally, I'm sure he would want to get it down to just points.
Yeah, and the rider is doing a fantastic job at the moment. It is great to see. Now, let's just take a look at where we are. Because pretty much well, he's all it's crazy for another day. I just pick up my hands.
It was hard today.
Maybe done. Oh, looking to get the wheels, looking to get the brake away, looking up the gap behind over the overbasking and not 15 seconds to go. And they can take advantage. Now, one of the small drive will take advantage of and to continue to push from these first to these next gaps. Really, these lanes, group of riders up out of the control, over that final line. You take that to the 12 rider and sheds it on 250 to over nine riders. Simply sandwiches.
Well, it is indeed, and they are tricky to walk. It's nice. Crystal, start the breaking the way thing that Chris got today. And in the main game, stop.
Yeah.
See on the left hand side of the screen, you have a great score has been being clear and the people Dutch is looking like he should think that the score a qualifiers which is 200 behind the law, and then Chugos looking on, but he's going to need a Miller to score very few points indeed. We've got now what we've been in chasing group at the moment. We are seeing another move of Bristol trying to go clear, chasing it behind, trying to get it onto the wheels. And at the moment, this is another get clear by Bluebird. Morel trying to come onto the wheels. Inga Morel, one of the coaches on MyWhoosh, on the interactive coaching, where you can jump on board, see the coach, the session with you. I know he's good sessions with Inga Morel before. It's not a good spring on.
It's going to be spot in the semi-finals and it will not be to take those points.
So if you're just joining us here towards the end, well, we've taken a jump back into the early part of the race and see how this race has gone. Leonard Schubert's rider who in this point of space did score well in the very first points section. That meant he was chasing trying to gather, but then once he could, he couldn't get it up the push. Second place, Sheffield and the right behind him made it more difficult. Although he is in second place on the road, it's points the late rises.
It is indeed, and at the moment, Speed maximum points. Well, he's going to be the first rider potentially to do it in the qualification rate. Maximum score so far is 192 out of 200. Addition to himself beautifully at every single points opportunity and has picked up, fitted to second place. And Shields went off the breakaway and tried to close down Michael Vink. He got on his wheel, he held up for as long as possible. He's over in clear on the chase group behind. So Vink is one on the road with the maximum points. Shields is two of those, but currently in third place in the points competition.
And unable to go up and above, let's check if we'll look. Basically, Will's help is quite entirely. It's that kind of thing. And he's not looking like that. We see these fantastic windows into the actual rider on the avatar, looking at Michael Baker at the moment. Sitting here along 5 kilometers an hour, to got them to be moving at right 60 km an hour. Incredible pace from Bing as he starts to push through it. End of this race at 32.4 kilometers. That's the final points of 5 checkpoints, and that means that he has got to get himself there at the front of the race, take a perfect score.
Well, he's got 300 metres to go at the moment. Michael to swing around the corner and behind 30 seconds behind Bing. Well, he has absolutely dominated this qualifying race today, and he has ensured he has picked up 40 points at every single checkpoint. He's going to come across the line very, very shortly with the maximum amount of points anybody could pick up in this race. That's the banner. That's Michael Vink. That's 200 points in the bag. Last ride. Well, Vink is over the line, and Tuba's going to be the next rider. WC, he's going to pick up 38 points coming under this banner in second place. And then we're going to have to wait for the sprint behind. Tell you something, Christoph Blubers, well, he has put a huge attack. There he is on our screen. And the push, the drive, the work to go clear over these small rollers on the run into the finish line, and he's done it out of sight and out of mind. He's around the corner in the group of in sight. What an attack from Blubers. All the time to do it. And I'm telling you something, that is going to be rewarded with a great points score. The Belgium riders today on qualifier 2 are absolutely showing us how it's done.
behind Plymouth, the rest of that. They drop down to North Point, to North, whatever, because they really need back off. Plymouth is a dead champion that we going to
Cramping my car.
still like places at the moment. The sprint starts to walk forward, but they have riders in between. Matteo Sanchez Corrales is going to hit the line in front. I think so is Gustav Berlin. This group behind are chasing for Cahill, who is in 12th place, and these riders still have some distance to go here. This is not easy.
No, it isn't. It is meant to be a qualifier for a race in a semi-final of the World Championship. The riders coming through thick and fast now, as they do. They are absolutely moving here. Berlin coming through at 4:11, but Cahill 13, Beam 13, Power 14, Portugal.
It's available was running to begin in 20th place. So the way the jump shadow at the moment is easy. Oh, and I think the good was a sprint between John Brew and then Nicholas Becker's taking a little bit of a check back to see who's next on the road behind these riders. Just check the boat. The kick is on face of Rocker at the moment, just pushing his way up towards the line here. So Rocker looking to close down behind me. Too much under the last 2 points being taken by John Brew of the United States of America. Mason Rocker at the moment just in fourth place disappears up the road. And so the moment those gaps opening up in front of the riders that they got in, they know they're going to the outside of those points. So Becker coming through, he takes 21st point. Walter Clay 22nd at the checkpoint, but no points available outside of the top of the point.
Wow, that's another try. Let's go up to check the they pulled it up 62 points. It's attack, particularly with Christoph Lubas, putting him up into fourth place. That there really strong in those sprints today, 144 points in Tom Cahill, doing a better job today than he did in qualifier race number 1 with 6.
That's fine.
And Christoph Lubas coming through in 8th with that finale, which was just fantastic.
Then you got Christoph Beam in 9, Josh Power sitting in 10th, Victor Morel takes 11th with Adrian Alvarado in 12th, Mark Sander takes 13th position, David Goodall 14th, Nelson Rocker.
Close to my personal best for 5 minutes.
Scores.
Anyway.
And then Data riders come in and over the line because they scored points earlier in the race.
Have a look.
Making away. I think we're going to have 24 point scorers in total here on qualifier number 2 in the men's race, all part of the 2025 UCI Scientific Esports World Championship. So fantastic racing here today with the win going to Michael Bink. He comes in through to take away race victory today from Jeffrey Miller. So think doing the business. I've got to say that for me is one of those great rides. Here in the studio, Emma, we were absorbed by the breakaway of thing. We knew that.
Let's have a look. Now, you see, the other day was 329. Today's come up at 315. Loaded yet? Thanks, Tommy. I don't know. What it said. 414, which would be a personal best. Oh, I don't know. I need to say that. That's mad that it's not as hard as the other day. But the first 5 minutes felt like it. The first 5 minutes the other day. 388. 357. Fair enough. Right. See you later.